According to statistics from January to December 2017, 5,878 incidences of SIM swaps were reported. And from January to December 2018, a high of 11,187 incidences, which indicates a 190% increase in the number of cases in a short time frame. We have SABRIC CEO Kalyani Pillay back in the loft to help us wise up about these crimes and explain how we can avoid them. Kalyani, those numbers are scary. First of all, what is SIM swaps and how can we avoid them?
SIM swaps are when somebody approaches your mobile service provider purporting to be you and asks for your number to be ported to another device. And the reason they do that is that it enables them to receive your OTP. That's the most important thing. That's what they want. And unfortunately, the way that they're able to do it, because the mobile service providers do have security checks in place. When you call to do anything, you've got to identify yourself, you've got to answer security questions.
Yes, the 5 questions.
So they have those. How does the criminal do this? The criminal does it because they've been able to acquire your personal information. It's all about, again, theft of personal information. It tells all of us that we constantly need to be on the lookout and on our guard all the time in terms of protecting our personal information. And this is how it's actually used against us. We're not as careful. By having that personal information, the criminal is able to answer the security questions. They acquire it through various sources, social media platforms, all different sources. So if they've got access to that information and they're able to do a SIM swap, so ask your mobile service provider to port the number to a different device, then of course they're now in possession of your account. And when a criminal has already got all of the information, at this stage, they would also have your banking information. So at that point, when they're about to do the SIM swap, they're already in possession of this. They also go online, they're ready with the transaction, so they're busy, ready, wanting to buy shoes or clothes, and they now do the whole transaction. But the transaction won't be completed if they don't get the OTP.
Yes.
So they know that they need this number, and that's the reason why they would do a SIM swap, so that the OTP would come to them. And in that way, they're able to complete the transaction.
And it's so scary how the two go hand in hand.
Yes.
With mobile defrauding and also the financial and banking defrauding, the two kind of play a big part together. How can we avoid this? Like, what precautions can we take?
Well, I think very important, a couple of things. One is, and this is something that we would always emphasize, that all bank customers needs to be very vigilant with their personal information. Watch where you're sharing your information, watch what you're clicking on, watch who you're giving information to over the telephone, you know, that kind of thing. Your personal information, guard it really jealously, you know, you really have to protect it. Secondly, if you are on your mobile phone, most people, you know, look at their mobile phones all the time. So if you find that you don't have signal on your phone, that should already start to concern you, especially if you're not in an area where you know there's a possibility of not having a good signal. And if you suddenly see that you don't have a signal, then you should be concerned. And if you find that that signal is really not there for a while, and actually you shouldn't wait too long, you need to contact the call center of your mobile service provider. And that's why we always say to bank customers, keep 2 numbers on your contacts all the time. Your bank's call center number and your mobile service provider's call center number.
But I feel like not having signal is so general. Are there any other precautions or warning signs that we need to look out for?
Well, I think, you know, it's really, again, about your personal information.
Yes.
It's about looking out for that. When you do your online banking or you're doing transactions on, make sure that all those devices are protected as well, so that the criminal doesn't acquire that information, because it's not only about the OTP, but it's about your card number, it's about your expiry date, it's all your banking information that they want to get their hands on.
You know, Kalyani, that reminds me, that's exactly why I decided to do the 2-factor authentication. I think that's best because you get the OTP and then you also get another form on another device to help you.
That's so important, Pelesa, because what that is about is we say to bank customers, go ahead and please register for 3D Secure, because that's the second level of authentication. So when you're doing a transaction, it will come up and it will ask for the one-time password. And that's the process that the criminals actually need to compromise because they know now you've got the second level. But unfortunately, we have to be mindful of the fact that criminals will always try to compromise us.
I think what I'm just taking away is that do not overexpose yourself in any way, shape or form.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's always protect yourself and your information.
Oh, thank you so much, Kalyani. Again, another wealth of knowledge. This conversation could go on forever. Thank you so much again for coming through to Afternoon Express. Now, wise up and watch out by applying these valuable tips so that you don't become another statistic.
We are brave, innovative, everywhere. We are SABRIC.